All right, welcome back to another edition of Sooner Surge at 6. And make sure you hit the subscribe button before we get started. Please like our videos if you enjoy them and leave comments as well. Love your interaction. So, as we get started tonight, we're going to be talking about the past weekend in recruiting for football. And Brody's got some information for us, so I'm just going to kind of pass over to you, Brody, and you can open it up.
Yeah, so I think what we'll do here is we're going to talk about each visitor and kind of how that went. First of all, big weekend. It's the first one of their two huge big weekends back to back. So this Friday, Saturday will be the Champ U barbecue, and last week, the 9th and 11th, was the first of their big visit weekends. They had two 5 stars on campus, according to 247 Sports Composite. First of which being Williams Winery. Always tough to pronounce the name, but yeah, Winery. That is, I think everyone's understood that it's a Oklahoma Tennessee battle for the most part. It's not really a 50-50 battle. Oklahoma is in the lead, and I think they kind of solidified that this past weekend with Winery.
So, you feel pretty good about Nuneri for the future.
At this moment, I do,
Okay.
and it's an interesting one because he is going to, I believe he's got a visit next weekend to Tennessee. And that is correct. He's going to visit Tennessee next weekend and then Missouri the weekend after for OVs. So,
And Missouri's because he's from the area.
yeah, he's from the Missouri area. But people got to understand the relationships he has at Oklahoma with Caden Green, former high school teammate, PJ Adebawore. They're pretty close. And McGill Chavis, like he's a coach that's very big on relationships. And I think this OV has really helped Oklahoma, and I think I think Oklahoma's in the best spot they've been there, which you would hope that they're in that position because they get the OV, all that. Like they're already in a good spot. You would hope that they're in the best spot they've been. Otherwise, probably did something wrong. But yeah, again, like we've talked about, I talked about this on the live stream. It's interesting because DeJohn Terry transferred from Tennessee. And that, I mean, maybe Terry, and I do think Terry and Winery actually talked about, the differences and similarities or whatever between Oklahoma and Tennessee. I do think that will help Oklahoma. But um, another 5 star on campus. This one is a 5 star DB cornerback, Kobe Black, out of Connolly, Texas. And this one, I talked about Oklahoma being in a great spot with Winery. Kobe Black, not so much. This is one that's always kind of been what you'd consider a pipe dream. And, while he is one of the best corners in the class, and while Brent Venables did coach his dad uh, in in college, this is one that Oklahoma is just going to have a very tough time pulling it off because they got the first of Black's 6 official visits, and he will go to Ohio State next weekend, Texas the weekend after, and then September 8th he'll go to LSU. October 6th he'll go to A&M, and October 13th he'll go to Alabama. So they got the first visit, which is not usually a good thing at all. So
Unless you just make a really strong
yeah,
impression.
unless you make a really strong impression. Oklahoma, they were nowhere like they had a lot of work to do there for it to be like a realistic thing to land Kobe Black. I believe that they did some work there, but it's just going to be really tough to actually land Kobe Black. That's going to be something, and this is not going to be a recruitment where I don't believe he's going to commit anytime soon. Like I mentioned with his visits, he's got one in October to Alabama and LSU, which is DBU, um, according to many. So, yeah, I think Kobe Black. I mean, good to have him on campus. Maybe you can make something happen there, but that's just a long shot. Very much so. But Kobe Black wasn't the only corner they had in. They had in Eli Bowen, which I think I think that's understood where Oklahoma is there with Bowen. And, Bowen is not just Peyton Brown's younger brother. He's a really good player in itself. And I had someone tell me that people think he might be better than Peyton Bowen. I don't, I'm not saying I agree with that, whatever, but he's very talented for a cornerback. So, Oklahoma, again, that's one where I don't think he's going to come out and commit very soon. I think someone asked in the live stream last night about when he'd commit, and that was one I'm pretty unsure about, but I imagine it's the August to October timeframe. And then they hosted Marcellus Williams, four-star cornerback out of St. John Bosco, California. His brother is Max Williams, and I know a lot of Oklahoma fans watched a lot of USC last year. I did. Um, so a lot of people are
I
familiar
think
with
that's
Williams. What?
I think that's one of those. Either people watched it to cheer against him, or people just didn't turn it on if they played. Right,
Yeah.
one or the other.
Yeah, Max Williams was probably their best corner last year, and that is Marcellus Williams' brother. And like I mentioned, he's from California, but he's showing up at Oklahoma, and he took it unofficial there. So this one's not like fully USC yet. I mean, there's a lot of predictions in for Marcellus Williams to USC, and rightfully so. But he's a very good player, and he obviously has shown interest in Oklahoma, which is a good sign for Oklahoma, but this is another one where, they're going to have to pull something crazy off to land him. Marcellus Williams had already visited UCLA on May 5th, and he will visit USC this weekend. He's been to USC 8 times. This will be his first OV. So USC is very much in a firm position with Marcellus Williams, but Oklahoma, again, they'll have some work to do there. So those were the 3 corners they hosted this past weekend. As far as like offensive linemen's concerned, they hosted a lot of them. A lot. You talk about Eddie Pierre-Louis, teammate of Lewis Carter in high school from Tampa Catholic, Grant Bricks, Weston Davis, Marquez Easley, Jason Zandamalea, Eugene Brooks. Like they were hosting a lot of O linemen. And out of all the names I just mentioned, there isn't one where Oklahoma's in as good of a position as Grant Bricks. Grant Bricks is one that Oklahoma is standing pretty well with.
What's his rating?
As far as
Recruiting
nationally, or
yeah,
Grant Bricks he's the number 1 player in Iowa.
4-star.
Yes, consensus 4-star, number 1 player in the state of Iowa, according to every site except for Rivals. They have him at number 2. And then On3 actually lists him in their industry ranking as the number 1 interior O lineman. He can play tackle, so I don't know if I consider him an interior O lineman. He's a guy who can kind of do both. Maybe he will be an interior O lineman. I don't quite know the answer to that yet.
As far as offensively,
yeah.
Other than offensive linemen, any skill position guys that were in town.
Yeah, Michael Hawkins, OU's QB commit, was in town this weekend, and that's one where Hawkins has been very vocal about how he's going to help recruit guys. And another offensive player that was in town is Zion Reagans, the speedster out of Georgia. He's got all the speed, 5'9", but he has long arms. I think a lot of people might have noticed that if they saw the visit pictures. It jumped out to me. He's one where Oklahoma is currently trending up for, and that's one where if I was to point out who might be the next commitment offensively, I'd say he'd probably be in the top 3 of who that could be. There's no one who's like solidified themselves. He is scheduled to visit Georgia next weekend. There is people that believe that visit's not going to happen, but at the same time, you don't know yet. So if he does visit Georgia, again, like I've preached on this channel, things can change on 1OV. We don't know how that's going to look, but Oklahoma did really good with Reagans, and they kind of they put themselves in a great spot with him. And then one more offense, there was multiple, but Xavier Robinson visited yesterday.
He's a big boy.
Yes, the 12th and 13th. He took a official visit. Now, he was not included, like when we talk about their big recruiting weekend, he wasn't like one of the people in attendance. He visited on a day where no one else OV. You typically don't see Monday and Tuesday official visits. But it's kind of Oklahoma State, and Iowa State there for the in-state running back. So the reason why,
is Notre Dame out of the picture?
Yeah, Notre Dame, I'd say, is out of the picture. And the reason why he visited on the 12th is because he actually OV'd at Iowa State on the 9th. So he already had an OV there. He wanted to get one set up with Oklahoma. So they just said, let's do it 12th and 13th. They have done that, and it ended today.
All right. Any other guys you want to mention?
Not particularly, but again, like, here's one I've said a lot that you consider maybe good news. One of the guys who's on a downhill trend would be Braden Platt. He's one that I think I'm pretty confident that Oregon's going to end up getting the pledge from Braden Platt, who some may say once Sammy Brown committed, he was kind of the guy Oklahoma was solely focused on at linebacker. And Oregon currently is on the uphill trend for the Yum Washington native. They will get an OV from him on the 23rd.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much all to mention for this one. I'm pretty sure we'll have another recruiting video, maybe Thursday or Friday on the
Leading into Champ U.
leading into the Champ U barbecue, just kind of who's there and everything like that. But yeah, big weekend for Oklahoma. Maybe a commit pops this week. I don't know. Maybe it's not till next week. But yeah, recruiting, we saw it heat up last year at this time, and I would be shocked if it didn't start to heat up this year around this time as well.
Awesome. All right, Brody. Appreciate the insight. Appreciate the info. And listeners, once again, please subscribe to the channel, leave comments, and then tune in next time as we have our Sooner Surge at 6 tomorrow, and we'll have some other videos as well coming this week. So, Boomer.